This is Faith Family Cars Podcast. I'm Jerry.
I'm Zach.
Hit the key.
Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. With a strong hand and with an outstretched arm, for his mercy endures forever. That was Psalms 136, 1 and verse 12.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. And today we've got another episode of Shop Talk. So I think it's been, a month or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, since we done one. And we got a long, not a real long, it's not too bad of a list of topics that we want to go over. So one thing we're going to talk about today is the new Ram Heavy Duty. That picture's just dropped. Yeah. And Nissan has filed a trademark to an old name of off-road vehicle that I know, Zach, you're pretty partial to.
Very excited for this.
And Ford has released two new Mustangs. One is a current model Mustang with just a cool trim package they're going to put on it, paint scheme. And then the other is an all-new Mustang. And then we're going to talk a little about the new ZR1 and its starting price point. And then to end things out, right now, while we're recording this, something that's going on in our country is the fires in California. And we want to discuss that a little bit and just talk a little bit about some of what's going on there. So Zach, the new Ram Heavy Duty. So what is your thought? Just first glimpse of it. What was your thoughts?
When I was scrolling on Instagram and the picture of it popped up and I saw it, first glance I was like, oh, it just kind of looks like the regular Rams. And then I look a little bit closer and I see that they split the headlight in two for absolutely no reason at all. And I also noticed that the grille is ginormous. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The generation before this Ram, I thought it was ugly.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, honestly, I think the TRX is about the only one that looks good.
I'm not even a huge fan of it.
Really, I think I've watched so much Cletus McFarland that I kind of started liking the TRX. But
I'm going to tell you what I don't like about the TRX, and this ain't even on the topic. But what I don't like about TRX is way back in 2012, I believe, is when the Raptor come out. And one of its signature things was the 3 amber lights.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the TRX stole that.
It was supposed to be, it's known as the Raptor Killer, though, is what it is.
Well, okay, so the Raptor Killer has the same lighting as...
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, I think there's little stuff here and there on the TRX that signifies Raptor Killer in certain places. I can't remember where it is. I've seen it before, but...
Well, it's not a killer of the Raptor R.
No, it's not. No, it's not. The Raptor R, in the words of Cletus McFarland, is the greatest daily of all time.
It took all these years for somebody else to come out with a truck that could compete with the Raptor.
And then Ford just
said, okay, well, we'll bring out an R.
Yeah, so now they need to make a TRX R.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Well, what they have came out with, though, is another performance off-road truck. I can't remember the name of it. I just saw it.
I know what you're talking about. It's with the Hurricane
But
motor.
it's got the Hurricane in it, and it's not nearly as quick as the TRX. It
honestly,
looks similar to a TRX.
I watched a guy review it on Instagram the other day. Well, he's in the process of reviewing it, but he posted an acceleration clip of it.
Yeah.
It's honestly not that... It's pretty quick.
It is quick.
It moves out.
But it's quicker than a 3.5 EcoBoost Raptor.
Yeah.
But it's not not even close to being as quick as a Raptor.
So the TRX is essentially their Raptor R.
Yes.
And then this is going to be their Raptor.
Yeah.
Well,
but the TRX, I think it's dead in water. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know if they're making them anymore.
Yeah, I think they're done with it.
But anyway, we're here for the Ram.
Well.
We're here for the Ram. Well, so like I said, the first glimpse of it, I thought they didn't do much, and then I noticed the headlight split, and then I started noticing the other details, and I was like, wow, this is ugly. It's like they looked at Chevrolet and they're like, oh, y'all split the headlights and made them look horrible. Let's do the same thing.
Yeah,
and they did the same thing.
I will say though, I think the Ram headlight looks better than the Silverado.
Yeah, because the Silverado comes down and goes like a good two feet.
Yeah,
and it looks horrible.
Which they've changed that.
See, I don't know what it looks like now.
The more updated version of that still has the same grill, but now the headlight is just a small square, and then it's split and has like a small square parking light on top.
Are they trying to make these things look like semi-trucks? Because the bigger these grills get, the more and more they look like semis.
Well, that's my question. So when I looked at it, I just see this massive grill, and I'm like, what is going on with all the automakers? I mean, you got our big three here, and then you throw Toyota in there too, even.
Well,
with these cars, massive front ends.
With cars, BMW's done the same thing.
Well, that was the ugliest thing.
The M4 was clean.
I don't know who the styling people were.
I thought it was ugly too, but the M4 was clean. But we need to get back on topic.
So the Ram, though, the grill is just so massive, and then you got these little headlights sitting out there. Yeah. You know, with the split grill, they're little bitty headlights. Same thing with the Silverado has got the long headlights and a massive grill. The Toyota has a massive grill with little bitty headlights. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Who thinks that looks good?
Well, I got a bit of a hot take here on the topic of Dodge, real quick. This might ruffle some feathers.
Well, Ram's not Dodge anymore.
Okay, sorry, Ram.
You gotta call it Ram.
Ram. Sorry.
Gotta call it Ram.
Little hot take here for the Dodge or the Ram fanboys. After the second gen, unless they are done perfectly, all the other Dodges look ugly. I don't think they have made a good truck since the second gen. If the third gen is done right, I didn't think
the third gen looked bad.
They literally just took the second gen and stacked two of the headlights on top of each other and made it wider. I thought that looked stupid. But like I said, if they're done right, they look good. I've seen lifted, fourth gens, and I've seen slammed third gens, and I think they look cool. But it has to be done right. But if you're talking stock truck, and you pull up in a stock second gen, that was the last time that they made a good stock looking truck.
Yeah.
Anything else is just hideous unless it's
well, there'll be a lot of people disagree with that,
and that's okay. That's why it's my hot take.
Yeah, sure, yeah. But one other thing I wanted to get into about these front ends is when I look at the Chevrolet and I look at the Ram, especially. Okay, when you look at the cab and you see this massive front end on this truck, and then you see the slope of the A-pillar, okay, going up to the roof of the truck, and it is sloped so much, the truck looks like a chop top to me. I mean, there's the rake of the windshield is leaned back so far with this massive front end. It just looks like a chop top vehicle.
And the poor guy that has to drive one of those, his blind spots are going to be ridiculous.
Well, all trucks have really sloped windshields now.
Yeah.
But it's just with that massive front end on there, and then that slope back. Because this is a heavy duty truck. This truck sits up really high. It's
got a big motor in it.
Yeah, it's a big vehicle. And then it's got this raked back. I mean, I don't know. Just the whole styling of these trucks take me back to the OBSs. Ford,
second
Chevy, first gen Rams.
Yes. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the second gen Rams, and they made a good, powerful, reliable diesel motor in those second gens.
Well, they weren't that powerful, but
they can be very powerful.
Yes, they can be.
But the thing is like, they made all that, and they didn't have gigantic grills. They had a pretty normal size grill.
They just look like a normal truck.
And you look at an OBS, and they didn't even have a different front end for. Well, they did slightly. They had a slightly different front end for the Super Duties, but it's all it's just an OBS. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like they had to put this gigantic front end on it that differentiated it. No. It was just, you had a normal looking truck and they just put a bigger motor in.
When the Super Duty Ford in 98 or 99, when it first came out,
they changed the front end for that.
They changed that front end and they changed the cab and the interior was all different. I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then
I think it's neat that they have different front ends for the Super Duties and in the heavy duty trucks.
But even then, that truck wasn't massive.
Yeah, but see what I'm saying though with the fact that, I'm all for the different front ends, because then you essentially got two different trucks. It's kind of cool. It's like you have a different styling for each truck. But what I'm saying is the grill does not have to be that big.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they made it the same size as everything. The OBS front end was the same on the Power Stroke, and it had a bigger motor in it and everything, and the grill wasn't 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole truck thing. I mean, the grills are gigantic, ridiculously oversized. The headlights look stupid.
Yeah.
So sorry if you're a Dodge fan, and I know some Dodge fans are pretty disappointed with this. Or Ram fan. I'm sorry,
Ram. But hey, there's some Ram fans that aren't very excited about this truck.
That's
either,
what I was saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of Ram fans that are pretty disappointed, and I'm sorry. Hopefully they'll build you a better truck next time.
Well, let's move on from that little rant.
Yeah.
And let's visit something that's a little more exciting for you.
I'm very excited about this. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be upset because this isn't the first time they've done this and not done anything with it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll do something with it this time. But Nissan, well, actually, if you've followed either one of us or you've paid attention to the podcast in the past 20-some episodes, then you'll know that I used to own an Xterra. And I really liked it. And the only reason I even sold it is because, honestly, I got bored. I get bored a lot. So I got bored and wanted a muscle car again, so that's why I bought the Mustang. Yeah. But I was a huge fan of the Xterra. It was very roomy. I could fit 5 people in it fairly comfortably. Had tons of space in the rear. I could almost put a queen-size air mattress in the back with the seats laid down.
That's cool.
It was awesome. It was great for off-roading. It did amazing. I took it out.
With stock suspension.
Stock suspension, yeah. Stock suspension and 33s is what I put on it. And I did the little melt mod. If you had an Xterra, you know what the melt mod is. But I did the melt mod, got my 33s to fit, and I loved that thing, and it did great off-roading. I off-roaded in the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, and touched my 4-wheel drive twice the whole time because it just tore through it. It did great. But anyway, I say all that to say this: Nissan has filed a trademark again. This isn't the first time they've done this. They did this one time before, or maybe a couple times before, and did nothing with it. But they filed a trademark again for the Xterra. And I'm really hoping they bring it back because I already told my wife if they bring it back, we're buying one. So.
It makes sense, though, this time around.
Yeah, it does.
Because you've got the Wrangler, who is actually hitting some mighty competition, tough competition now with the Bronco and the Land Cruiser. Yeah. So they went back to a boxy, and you guys have all seen it, a more boxy.
Well, the 4Runner, too.
Well, yes, the new 4Runner, but the Land Cruisers went back to a boxy, smaller style, and it's more rugged, looks more off-roadish, it's more capable, and so they are, Wrangler's getting some major competition here. Yeah. And if the Xterra came back in, they could tap into some of that market because there is a group of Xterra fans out there.
Oh, there is. There is definitely.
And you've got the perfect base for it, which is the Frontier, just the truck.
Yeah, literally make it a Frontier with a topper and it'll get bought.
Because that's what people want.
I guarantee it.
Because the Frontier is a very capable truck.
And it looks good.
That frame that's under that Frontier is still the old frame that the Xterra rode on before.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
But I will say that if they put the Frontier front end on an Xterra, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the new Frontier. The new Frontier looks great in my opinion.
Well, right now, the whole sport utility market is starting to head towards a rugged style SUV.
Everything is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even your freaking Hyundais trying to make theirs look a little more.
Well,
rugged.
I mean, you look at Honda, and they've got I think it's the HRD or something like that. That package. Nissan, their Pathfinder has the Rock Creek package.
Yep.
I mean, you look at Ford, and they've got the Timberline package on the Explorer.
Yeah.
So I mean,
everybody's trying to make them look a little more rugged.
Yeah, and I think they all look cool, looking a little bit more rugged.
Well, not just your grocery getter mom car.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm super excited about it. I've already told my wife if they release it, we're probably going to buy one.
Well, Nissan as of right now is saying it's not happening anytime soon. So
I just don't understand why they keep trademarking.
I know.
Who is going to take Xterra?
I know.
Because I'm going to be honest, it's kind of a dumb name.
Yeah,
like, who's going to take Xterra?
Yeah,
I just don't understand why they keep trademarking it over and over again.
I don't either. So let's move on to the next topic. So let's. There's a Mustang GTD. Everybody's seen the Mustang GTD, and we did
we talked about it.
Yeah, in our last shop talk, we talked about it. Well, there's another reason to talk about it now, and that is because they've released the Spirit of America package on the car, and basically it's white with a red and blue stripe right down the center of it, and that thing looks clean.
Yeah,
and
looks
the back
good.
of it, the spoiler, the big old wing on the back says Mustang across the back of it. I mean, it is
It's
awesome.
It's almost
car.
it kind of gives me the feeling of a classic take on a brand new muscle car.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I see from it, and I like it. I think it looks good. It's very old school with the design style.
Yeah, it is.
I like it.
It does. It looks cool, and that's just one of the things that was released this week with Mustang. The other one was the RTR.
Yeah, I've got an opinion about that car.
You don't seem as excited about the RTR as I am.
No, I'm not. So
we are fans of Von Gittin Jr.
Yeah.
Course.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm a huge fan of RTR. I'm a fan of Von Gittin Jr. When you go to Ford Fest, if you've ever been there, RTR does a little drifting clinic kind of thing, where they go out and just showcase what they can do.
These guys are world champion drifters.
I mean,
all of them.
It's so fun to watch, and it's so I really back what they do because they're huge with Ford, and as a Ford fan, I like seeing what they get up to.
So, what's your problems with this car?
My problem with this car.
Well, wait a minute. Before we get to your problems with the car, we need to say this about the car. This is going to be a factory-built Mustang. Okay,
So,
this isn't going to be a
first time.
package, or it isn't going to be just throwing some wheels on and a ground effects kit or a body kit, whatever they call it now.
This is the first time since, I'm assuming Carroll
Shelby, I believe,
that they have released a factory car, or like Ford has worked with a company to build a factory car like
Roush's
this.
are not a factory
Roush
car.
isn't, Saleen isn't.
They're bolt-ons at the dealership.
Hennessy, all them people, they're not factory. So my disappointment with this car is I think the car looks cool. Somebody pointed out in a comment section I was looking at that it has a GT front bumper on it.
Yeah.
It has a GT front bumper. I think it might have the GT wing on it.
I think it does have a GT wing.
It doesn't sit super low. I think it's drift oriented. But my disappointment comes from the fact that they had the opportunity to make a factory Whipple supercharged Mustang. Which, yes, you have the factory supercharged Mustang in the GT500, but that was in 2020.
Whipple, it'd be Ford Performance.
It'd be Ford Performance, but it would probably be like a Whipple or a Kenny Bell or something like that. But anyway, my disappointment is the fact that they had the perfect opportunity to do that. Just have a Whipple supercharged Mustang from factory making 800 horsepower. Actually, probably could make close to 1,000 realistically.
Well,
but they'll probably tune it back because it's a factory thing. So 800 horsepower, they could have made that. But no, they decided that they were going to make an EcoBoost Mustang. Which, look, I love the EcoBoost.
What's so bad about that?
I love the EcoBoost. But my disappointment is this right here, okay? It is not going to sell unless it makes the same amount of power as a GT or more. It will not sell. Because tell me right now, and viewers at home, you think about this too. If you go to a lot and you have a RTR EcoBoost priced at $46,000, and you have,
it's going to be way more than that.
Okay, but I'm just saying for this. Okay. $46,000, and you've got a Mustang GT for $46,000.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just for this. Obviously, that's not how much they cost.
Just so you know, I just looked at a new Mustang GT on the lot
like
2 weeks
$50,000?
ago, and it was $52,000.
Yeah.
It was a pretty basic GT.
Really, I would assume it's the performance pack.
No,
for that much.
No.
Anyway,
it had the just silver wheels on it. It was pretty. It had the.
Did it have the Brembo brakes?
No.
If it did, it was performance pack.
It did not have Brembo brakes, and it did not have the full screen. It had the 2 separate screens.
Dang, that's crazy.
52,000, but that was before dealer discounts. The dealer had it discounted down to 49.
Okay.
But still.
Well, anyway, let's just we'll change it to 50,000 to make this a little more realistic. $50,000 EcoBoost that makes 460 horsepower, or you have
EcoBoost Coyote.
No, EcoBoost. You have the RTR EcoBoost. Let's just say $50,000 RTR EcoBoost on the lot.
You're saying it makes 460 like a Coyote.
We're pretending. Makes 460.
And I don't think it will.
And you have a Coyote Mustang GT next to it for $50,000. And it's making, actually they make 480 now, but it's making 480. You're going to sit here and tell me that you're going to take the EcoBoost over the GT.
Well, no.
Exactly.
No.
So then who's going to buy this car?
Except...
Because if this car is more expensive than the GT and makes less power than the GT, no one's buying it.
Well... You got a fan base there, though, of younger kids who love the RTR
What younger kid is going to afford that?
I don't know.
What younger kid is going to afford a $60,000
for him?
Some crazy person.
So here's the thing. I don't think it's going to have the horsepower of a GT, because I think that what they're doing here is they're slotting this in between
It's an enthusiast car, but it shouldn't be a Mustang.
They're slotting it in between an EcoBoost Mustang and a Mustang GT.
Yes, but my problem is if it's gonna be more than a GT with less horsepower. Okay, I guess it will sell. I'm very horsepower oriented.
I know you are, but you listen. Hear me out. Von Ginton Jr. has a name.
Yes.
Okay, he has a whole team of people, RTR, that fall under his umbrella. Okay, they do a lot with Ford Performance. I mean, why do you think all these Mustangs got the electric handbrake in them now? Because of him.
I got something to say after you get done.
But here's the thing. He's got a following that are going to buy this car because it has RTR wheels and they look awesome. Because it has an RTR body package on it that looks awesome.
How much do you think this car is going to sell for?
Probably around in the 60s, but let me finish.
Okay, finish.
And because it has the underpinnings of a dark horse, suspension-wise. He's already said that. It's going to have a lot of suspension from the dark horse. So my thought is, it's an EcoBoost, but it's not going to be the 2.3 EcoBoost.
If it's not the 2.3, that'd
my
be cool.
thought is they're going to be dropping the 3-liter in there from the Explorer ST and the Bronco Raptor.
Those Explorer STs can be really fast.
And you're talking a 400 horsepower twin turbo EcoBoost. So it's not going to be as powerful as a GT, but it's going to be way more powerful than a regular EcoBoost.
But let me say this.
That's just my theory.
Let me say this.
I'm probably totally wrong.
How good did the 2.3 high performance sell?
Not very good, but it looked cool.
Yeah.
Because it had cool badging on it.
What's going to be different about this?
Nothing.
Okay.
You're right.
So that didn't sell. So why would this sell?
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you right now.
You get more bang for your buck out of a GT.
I'm going to tell you right now. I have only seen a 2.3 high performance when I worked at a Ford dealer. That was the only time I've ever seen it. I've never seen one on a road.
I think I've seen one.
Now let me say this too. So if you're looking at horsepower and overall experience out of the car, you can buy this brand new car for $60,000 is what we're going to say it is. $60,000, maybe $65,000, okay? With a four-cylinder, maybe 6-cylinder. Or you could buy like a 2017 or 2018 RTR Spec 3 or 4. You know, actually, if you might be able to even get a Spec 5. If you can get a Spec 5, that's Whipple supercharged. You're making 700 horsepower right there. And that is more of a car than the 6-cylinder.
A dealer. That's not a off the factory line
I understand.
car.
I understand.
Here's the difference.
But you're gonna get a better car for just getting a couple years older one. And I'm gonna be honest, if you're taking an S650 over a late S550 in looks, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Well,
the S650 looks good, but the late S550 with the 2018 front end on it
looked good,
unmatched.
So, but here's the thing, though. This car comes to the dealership off the factory line.
Yeah, I understand.
So it's available for financing through Ford financing.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
That you're not going to be, because all those bolt-ons.
Yeah.
For a RTR, you got to finance not through your car loan.
But all I'm saying is this
car,
or
pay cash for it, what you should be doing.
The fact that this is an EcoBoost is underwhelming to me. Now, I saw people in the comment section were like, "Oh, well, RTR already makes a package for the V8 Mustang," and I understand that, but that is not a Ford factory package. You have, like you were saying earlier, you have to go and get that done at RTR.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm upset. That it's not a V8, and on top of that, I just really don't think it's going to sell. I think it's going to be a massive flop. And it's just not going to do what they want it to do.
Well,
and I don't know. I feel like they could have just made something better out of that.
My whole take on this whole thing is Ford continues to put different...
They put enthusiast cars out there.
Different enthusiast cars out there. They just continue to be focused on performance and putting something out there for the daily driver, for the guy who's grassroots type racer. They keep putting stuff out there for them.
Now, I feel like if they would have did this exact thing to a different car, which obviously RTR Mustang, it's got to be the Mustang. I understand that. But if it was a different car, I think it would have did better.
Well, what if you want an autocross? That's going to be a good car.
It would be a good
car to make an autocross car.
It would be a good car to autocross.
You you're going to road, do some type of road racing with it.
It would be good for it. It would be good for it. But if you want to do any sort of motorsport with it, and you want to continuously get more power out of your vehicle, just like you do in every motorsport, including drifting, you get more power out of your vehicle in drifting, autocross, everything. Coyote's where you got to go.
Yeah, but those motors are very tunable too.
Yeah, they are. But you throw a Whipple on a Coyote, and you're making 800 horsepower.
I could care less because I'm never going to buy one.
No,
but I'm just saying, I'm excited that Ford just keeps putting stuff.
I will say, I wish I still worked at Ford for the reason that I wouldn't mind test driving one.
Yeah.
Just because I would like to see what it could do.
Yeah.
Because I've driven a GT before, but I've never, I haven't really messed with the EcoBoost.
Well, let's move on to something much meaner than that, and that is the 2025 ZR1 Corvette that they finally released a price for.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to start rolling off the assembly line in the next couple months. So they're going to start having orders go out.
It's going to be exciting.
Which are made right here near us in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is cool too.
Yeah.
But this car's starting price has been released at $174,995. Now, when I see that, I'm like, man, the GTD Mustang is like
way overpriced.
Yeah, because you're talking about 1,000 horsepower Corvette here.
But
now, we don't know
how it does. You can be 1,000 horsepower and have a good weight ratio, but you could also have horrible suspension. You never know.
It's a ZR1.
It's not going to have horrible suspension.
It's a ZR1.
No, I'm just saying. You've got to put all this into effect. Yeah. I'm going to take Ford bias completely out of it. I completely think that this will outdo the GTD. 100%.
It will.
100% will outdo that car. But power and weight aren't everything. You got to have the suspension to back it up. Which it's ZR1, it will have the suspension, but you got to see how it's going to handle around a course.
But what did I say about the what is it? The Nuremberg
Nürburgring?
Whatever.
Nürburgring.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. I said when the ZR1 comes out, the GTD might be short-lived as the king.
Yeah.
For American muscle.
Yeah, it will be.
So, but the ZR1 is a supercar. It's not a muscle car. It's a hypercar.
That's something I think that.
And for that price, it's going to be blowing the doors off Ferraris.
It will be. It will be.
It's insane.
It'll be.
I can't believe it's that cheap. I thought it was going to be at least $250.
Well, but see, you've got to think too, though. MSR or dealer markups are going to be insane.
They will be insane.
This car probably will be $300,000 with the dealer markup.
That is the base price. When you start reading through all the options that are available, because they have multiple different packages and trim packages and stuff too. And back in the day, a ZR1 was a ZR1. It came with everything.
Yeah.
There was really no options.
Yeah.
But now they're making it to where there's all these options. That car could be well over $200,000 if you get a top of the line. It will be well over $200,000.
Yeah.
And plus you got gas guzzler tax and destination fees and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be way over $200,000 when you're done with it.
It is interesting that they have all these options like on these top of the line cars. You think it would get all the top of the line stuff. Because I mean, even thinking about like the 96 Cobra, that is the top of the line Mustang in 1996. Best thing you could get. They had one single option on that car.
Yeah.
And that was the fact to get the leather seats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that was it.
And that's majority of all the Cobras.
Yeah, because if you're going to spend the money on a Cobra, you might as well get the leather seats.
Well, there was only in 1996 of the laser red with peanut butter interior. There was only 4 cloth interior cars made.
And you've got a fake one.
You've got a fake one.
You've got a clone.
Yeah. Hey guys, I am interrupting this podcast with a new feature that we're going to start right here, right now. And this feature is going to come out every month in our Shop Talk episodes, the episode that you're currently listening to. And we are going to highlight one of your guys' builds or a car that you've just finished building. And we want you to send us the video, and we're going to put it right into the podcast. It's going to be on YouTube. It'll be anywhere you listen to the podcast, and everybody that listens is going to get to hear about your project. We're going to get to see your project on YouTube. So guys, we want you to send those videos to us. But right now, before I get into how you can send those to us, we're going to jump into our first feature, which is my brother's Corvette, as you can see here behind me. So he's going to tell us a little bit about what he's done and this project that he came across that is Pretty much a barn find. So we're going to bring him in and we're going to talk about his car. All right, guys. So this is my brother Ray. You know, I'm sure you can see the resemblance. He picked up this 1990 Corvette back in the summer, and as a project. Okay, so Ray, why don't you tell us about the car, the find, and what was wrong with it when you got it?
Well, I was on Facebook, and I really wasn't shopping for a Corvette. I've already had a Corvette previously. It was an '04 C5 edition, and it was a nice car, but it wasn't always easy to work on unless you got lifts, and it was starting to cost me a little bit more money, so I sold it. And I really wasn't looking for a new Corvette or another Corvette at the time. And I was on Facebook Marketplace, and this one popped up, and I wasn't even shopping, and no other Corvettes were on there but this one. And it was covered in dust, as you can see. It still is some, but it had been washed by the time I got to it. But it was just covered in dust, been sitting in a garage for 12 years, according to the seller. And I called Jerry up and I said, let's go look at this car. And we went out and we looked at it, and as you may see here in the video, the body and the interior is in great shape. The motor looked like it was in great shape. It cranked, but it would not start, and it hasn't started for 12 years according to the seller. And so I talked to my wife, and we decided to go ahead and buy it. And I figured, if anything, if the motor had to come out of it, then the body and everything was worth what I was paying for it.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and purchased it, brought it home with Jerry and my nephew's help. We brought it home, and then in October I started tearing it down. And what I had to do is, well, we realized the fuel pump wasn't working on it. And with it sitting that long with bad fuel in it, I knew I was going to have to put new fuel pump, new injectors, clean the fuel system, possibly a new fuel tank, and stuff like that. And that's what I went ahead and ordered all those parts and got started on it.
So before you get, we're going to get into some of those details. Okay. Before you get into that, why C4? What does a C4 mean to you? Because most people nowadays, a C4 was slow. It didn't create a lot of power. It was during an era in the 80s when, you know, the automotive companies were starting to really push fuel injection. They were starting to gain more power, but not a lot.
Right.
And most people would look at this and say, you know, okay, it's a great looking car, I'm going to LS swap it. You know, but why C4 for you? And I know we're going to get into the motor and everything, but what does a C4 mean to you?
Well, C4, I fell in love with that body. I fell in love with Corvette in 1983, and the only reason I can remember is 1983 is because that's when all the information started coming out about this car. I got a poster that told all the details about the 1984 revolutionary Corvette.
Yeah.
And that's when I fell for it. And I did models and magazines and all that stuff, and I just learned everything I could about Corvettes. And the 90 is sort of like the sweet spot. You still got the tune port, you got the new interior that looks like a cockpit. The other interior is really sharp. It's really exciting, but it's expensive to work on and
it don't wrap around you.
It doesn't wrap around you, but that was revolutionary as well. The whole car, the reason Corvette's still alive today is because of this car.
Yeah, probably so.
The suspension on this car was used. May have tweaked it from time to time, but it was used all the way through C7.
Yeah.
C8 was all new, everything, but the suspension and everything was pretty much the same. And this car put Porsche to the side a little bit because they competed with Porsche,
yeah,
had better handling and stuff like that. So yeah, it revolutionized the Corvette and brought it back because it almost disappeared before the 84 came out.
Mm-hmm. So, but you love those Corvettes, and you told me before red on black 1990 was your dream.
Right.
You know, that's what you wanted.
It was.
So you finally got your dream car.
Right.
So I think as we walk through what we're going to talk about here, people are going to understand why you want to leave this car the way it is.
Right.
So let's take a look at it.
Okay.
So you've been going through you went through the fuel system. Just kind of give us an overview of what you've done to it.
I started out tearing all the intake off of it, and I pulled the fuel rail, and I got down to the lower intake, and I thought, you know what, these have a problem with lower intake seals. So I tore the lower intake out. I'm already down here. I said, you know, I'm gonna put a new water pump on it, and I've put a new water pump. I also deleted the smog pump system. May not always be something everybody can do in their state, but I did it. I removed the smog pump system and all the plumbing and went to it, and it opened up the front of this car where you can really get down into it. So I put this bracket system that was created for that. And then also when I removed some of the plumbing, it opened up this top area here. Really not done any mods to it. I bypassed the cooling system through the throttle body to help a little bit, not a whole lot of horsepower, maybe a 5% or 5 horsepower at the most, if anything. But it's all stock. I put all stock parts back into it.
So I know to get it started, you had to redo the complete fuel system. Why don't you walk us through what all you did there?
Well, to begin with, I had to, I pulled the tank on the back of it, pulled the fuel pump. Fuel pump's got to be one of the easiest fuel pumps I've ever pulled in my life. You just pull this inner piece out and the fuel pump comes right out of there. But the fuel tank was actually, after I took the back end off so I could get to the fuel tank, I found that this car had been wrecked. So it had been hit in this corner somewhere because this tank was damaged here, this cradle was damaged, and so I said I'm not going to even try to make this fuel tank work. I bought a new fuel tank, I bought another cradle off of a 90, this came off of a 91, and put that all in. I put a new fuel pump in, and then removed the fuel filter, which is at the bottom of the driver's side or passenger side door over there. I've got new Delphi injectors. They got a lifetime warranty on them, and they're much quieter than the original ones, as has been described to me by other people who have put them in. I cleaned the fuel rail. I cleaned the fuel lines, make sure all the varnish was out of it from all the old fuel, blew it all out, and then started reassembling and putting everything back together.
Well, you recently got it running, right?
Yes, with your help.
Yeah.
I had pulled a distributor so I could pull the lower intake, and I marked my timing where it was at currently. And when I put it back in, I apparently got it off. And it would start, but it would run very rough. And I asked Jerry to come over and help me with a timing light because I didn't have a timing light. And we reset the timing on top dead center on compression stroke, and thing fired right up first time.
Well, why don't you fire it up and let's hear it?
Okay.
Well, it sounds really good.
Yeah, I currently don't have any mufflers on it because when you pull the tank and this lower cradle right here to get the tank out, you got to pull the rear mufflers and stuff off of it. Probably going to go with straight pipes right now. I've listened to a few cars that Corvettes that have the straight pipes and it sounds very good. So I'm probably what I'm going to go with this time on the piping.
So that was a cold start.
Yeah.
Fire right up.
Fired right up.
Sounds really good.
Sometimes it seems to have a slight idleness, and I'm not sure if it's a vacuum. Maybe the timing is slightly off a little bit, but it revs right up. Doesn't hesitate. It's got all new sensors on it too. I put all new sensors on it. Sweet. But I'm going to keep it stock for the most part, unless the engine fails, and then who knows, I might do something kind of crazy with it. But right now, I just want to make it a cruiser and something to enjoy, to go on drives and car shows and stuff like that.
Live out your childhood dreams.
That's right. So guys, I know everybody's into hot rodding and everybody's into making horsepower and stuff, but a lot of times a cool, clean cruiser and making a car stock, to me, takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of enjoyment in it, and it's about your preference. And for me, a lot of what I like to do is to make a cool cruiser. It's got a little extra power and have fun with it, you know. And so for him to be able to live out his teenage dream, I think is awesome. And he's going to put this car right back the way it should have been from the factory. And I'm sure he's going to do small things to it to make it a little more enjoyable. You know, it's
more personal.
Yeah, more personal. But what a cool car! What a cool find! And I think it's going to be awesome being able to go to some cruise-ins with him and hang out with it. And you're not too far from being able to wrap it up, are you?
No, just getting ready to do brakes on it. I'm going to put the back bumper on today. Brakes in the next couple of weeks, and then tires, and it'll be ready to roll.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. So guys, if you want to have your vehicle featured, your project, as you can see, his is still up on jack stands. You know, he's not even got the wheels on it yet. If you want to have yours featured, and or maybe you got a project you just completed that you'd like to feature in our Shop Talk podcast, which airs usually the third Tuesday of the month. Sometimes we skip a month. But send it to us at faithfamilycars@gmail.com. That's faithfamilycars@gmail.com. Or you can simply DM us on Instagram at faithfamilycars. But send us your videos. We want to put your car on the podcast, you talking about it. Hey, send us a message, and if we're close enough, we'll come do a live video with you, and we'll put it on the podcast. So just reach out to us at faithfamilycars@gmail.com. or at Faith Family Cars on Instagram, and we'll talk and we'll get something set up. To our last story of the day. I want to close it out with this. So everybody's been seeing, because it's all over social media, it's all over the news, the wildfires in California near the Los Angeles and Hollywood areas, and it's devastating. And what's even harder for me to see is all the negativity and all the politics that's been brought into this.
Yeah, like, wow, you know.
Yeah, regardless of how you view politics, regardless of if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Regardless of how much you hate California.
Yes,
you know,
exactly, because there are California haters out there.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really like California and how they run their state, but still, these are people that
It's a beautiful state, though.
Yeah, well, it is, and these people are losing their homes and their possessions and everything.
And that's the thing.
It's horrible.
It's a horrible situation, and there are people just like us that are losing everything. You know, I've seen comments about people saying, "Oh, they're all actors and actresses, and
they're all rich, they can
they're
afford
millionaires, they can afford it."
That's not true.
Well, that's not true. There's everyday guys out there and girls out there who are losing their livelihood, and it costs a lot to live there, and they're losing everything they've worked for. And there's so many hot rodders that you've seen their cars burned up, you know, and that is just, you're ripping something out of their soul when they lose their cars, you know, their projects that they worked on for years. And it has made me somewhat a little bit angry from all the people who are talking so negative. You know, yes, we can play the blame game, but right now there's a situation where there are fires,
innocent people
that are burning and taking out innocent people's homes and their livelihoods. We don't need to worry about how it started right now, or if there's enough people to put the fires out, or if there's enough equipment. We need to worry about getting it done.
You know, that's the thing. When you have a problem, you find a fix to the problem and you solve the problem, and then you go back and you figure out how the problem started.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you assess how you could have did things better and
yes.
why things went the way they went instead of the way they should have went,
so,
things like that. You don't worry about it in the act.
That's right.
While the thing's happening, you fix the problem and then you assess why it happened.
All this crap being talked all over social media needs to stop. It really does.
We got to support our fellow Americans. We're all Americans at the end of the day, guys.
If I can say anything, guys, let's lay the politics aside. Let's lay everything aside, except for these are image bearers of God that are losing everything they got, everything they've worked for. Let's think about that, and let's pray for them. Zach, read verse 12 again.
Verse 12 says, "With a strong hand and with an outstretched arm, for his mercy endures forever."
And I had him read that verse specifically because of what we're talking about right here. Mm-hmm. You know, God, He will reign over us with a strong arm, but He has that outstretched hand, that outstretched arm to us when we are in a time of need. He always shows compassion. You know, and even when you go back into the Old Testament with the Israelites and how they disobeyed and they didn't follow the law and they worshipped other gods, He still, even when He had to rain down on them hard, He showed compassion to them in the end. Mm-hmm. Every single time. So I just think about that and I think, man, we need to show compassion to our fellow man. So, Zach, you got another story that you found on Facebook.
Yeah, I got a quick little story I want to read to maybe kind of bring a little bit of victory to the end of this.
Yeah, and this is kind of a fun and cool story.
Yeah, so obviously I can't verify if this is true or not. This is a Facebook post that I had found. Is by someone named Lucy Jordan, and this is about her and her husband and their 65 Corvette. So
I thought it was a cool story.
Yeah, so we'll read this, and then I guess we'll end it off.
Wrap it up.
Says, "Last night, evacuated from our Topanga home in California, we get word that we'll likely lose the house. With little hope left, we decided to sneak back into the canyon to save our beloved 65 Corvette. The convertible top doesn't go up, the winds were about 80 miles an hour, and I can say I was petrified. As we rounded the turn up to our house, an inferno was blazing in the canyon. We raced up in our truck, grabbed a motorcycle helmet and goggles, and my husband started the Corvette, which by a miracle didn't need a jump this time. With trees falling around, fire behind us, and debris racing through the air, I watched my man doing about 80 miles an hour with his helmet and goggles on, top down, blasting Metallica and racing out of the canyon.
I didn't think that car do 80.
I was both crying and hysterically laughing at the absurdity of it all. When we finally made it out okay, we arrived at a stoplight where I watched a man pull up next to him. He turned his head and they exchanged simple thumbs up. We still have no idea if our house is gone, but our little Jolene 65 white Corvette with red interior made it."
Hey, and you know what? That is a fun, cool story.
Yeah.
They may have lost their home, but, you know, just like a lot of hot rodders out there, we all have a really close connection to our vehicle.
I mean, who knows? That could have been passed down from their grandpa or anything. It could have been in the family for years.
That's something they wanted to get out of there. There was an heirloom or whatever it was that they wanted, or a project they'd been working on together. They wanted to get out of there. And that, you know, when you see all these pictures of these people losing their cars, their hot rods and stuff, there is a special connection that a hot rodder has with his car.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want to see that. You know, it's like, why didn't they drive that out of there? Well, the fire comes so fast.
Oh, yeah, and we've experienced it.
Yes.
I mean, you can't save everything you want to save, you know?
You just can't.
And I mean, you know, you're watching it happen. Your first thought is not, hey, let me go save my car. It's like, let me not die.
Yep.
You know, and you and my brother experienced it firsthand, essentially. Y'all were standing right in the middle of it.
There.
So,
you know, we just got to show compassion to one another, guys. Yeah. Let's show compassion during times like this. And let's show our neighbor that we love them and that we care about them and that we're here for them. We're going to pray for them. Thank you all so much for watching and for listening on Spotify and iTunes and iHeart and Amazon and for watching on YouTube. We thank you for that. And if you don't know where to find us, just type in Faith Family Cars.
Type in Faith Family Cars.
And it's going to pop
up.
All
the places he just mentioned is where you can find us. We're also on TikTok and Facebook. On TikTok, we are uploading clips a couple times a week now.
Yeah.
We've got our verses going out as usual.
Yep.
And
we've got more to come.
Soon, hopefully, we'll be maybe releasing some YouTube videos.
Yes.
So
very soon.
we'll see how things go. We both got some stuff that we're planning on doing. Just gotta find the time to do it.
That's
so,
right.
you know.
So guys, we love you. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time.